going round and round like this. And here we are, bing, bing, bing. It is the Modern Fowler Scrum. It's Sam and Thomas and Piotr. Updates from me. So yesterday, main thing in the after period was working with Michael on step 1 on more this clean room acceptance tests. And I think we've made some good progress there, but we are, even despite sandboxing, we've managed to see the error occur on CI again. So I think the way forward now is to finish the sandboxing and then focus in on that particular test and maybe ultimately remove it. But let's see. But overall, it will hopefully be create the whole thing more stable. There might be a couple of questions I might have for you, Thomas, later on, but I'll get to that when in the afternoon, because I've got to focus on AV102 today. What I've realized is, of course, since we're going live with AV102 on Monday, then really I actually need to finish a first repass through the first week so that it can be checked prior to being released. Although it's just the introductory week, so yeah, that's going to be the big focus. I'm also very pleased to get the Agile Ventures charity submission off. That's submitted. We'll see what the government says. Yeah, talking with Charles about now let's maybe try and spin up a little middleman site. With the Agile Ventures sort of business model proposition for charities that we've now kind of pretty much not locked down. Yeah, and I think that's the main stuff for me. Yeah, Piotr. Yeah, how about you?
So I was just working with this task in local support.
Yeah.
And I found a solution, but it needs some refactoring because it's now based on the old code, and I found some problems with this old code.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the problems that I already told you last week, it was that probably some too much logic is in views, in some helpers.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is that also there are two controllers for organizations and proposed organizations that are slightly different.
Yes.
That's why I needed to make the method for a proposed organizations controller much longer to handle the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure in which direction I should refactor, or should I refactor it?
Yeah.
For now it's working, and there are some cucumber tests that I also added to that.
Great. Yeah. Well, let's have a look in the code, add the code together in detail at the end of the stand-up, and we'll work out a good direction for it. Excellent. Yeah. So unless anything else from Piotr, we'll move on to Thomas. How are things with you?
Yeah, so not much to report in terms of Agile Ventures, apart from that we started to push out some info about the Agile Ventures Premium membership to our clients, and I don't know if that if that message made the sale, but one of the prospects actually responded very, very positively to that, and asked a few questions about it. So it's in a true Agile way. We just kind of push it out and see what sort of a response we get, and then we can pivot from there if needed. So that's positive. I think we are in the process of adding that to our value proposition, throughout our marketing materials and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I look forward to seeing the Craft Academy advertisement on Agile Ventures, and I also started to think a little bit about the remote, some remote boot camps, and see if we can get something together on that, and perhaps. Reach out to some AV members. Perhaps somebody will be interested in participating in Craft Academy. I don't know.
As an instructor.
Well, so yeah, both as instructors, but also if there is some new members that feel that they would like to
have a more intensive experience.
Yes. That's one thing. Then related to that, but still a separate issue would be since our course materials are open sourced, I was thinking that perhaps there would be an interest from some AV members to participate in the development of course materials. I don't know.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's certainly we could create the Craft Academy course materials project. on Agile Ventures and to direct that as one of the things that people could participate in, as we've done previously with the ESOS textbook. So,
for instance, I don't know. So, but we can think about that and see if there's any traction on that, and if people would be interested in it or not. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Good stuff. Okay, so nothing explicitly blocking you then at the moment?
No, I have a Project Unify client meeting for tomorrow. But so I need to prepare for that. So that's a plan for me to work on that. But other than that, I'm all good. No blockers.
Okay, great. All right. So I think that's our stand up. Yeah. Well, maybe Piotr, if you have some time now, we should look at the code together for local support.
Okay. Should we stay here or?
I guess let's stay here. I think maybe let's stay here because although I can help you with it for a bit, what I really must do is go and work on the AV 102 stuff. So I think probably we'll just stick around here unless there's a problem with that. Yeah.
I have one final thing. Oh. So I would need to speak to you later today or tomorrow or something about the blog thing that we spoke about a few days ago.
The blog thing.
Yeah, you potentially writing a blog post for us.
Oh yes, sure, right.
But okay. let's talk about it when we have some time.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Thomas.
All right. Okay. Take it easy, guys.
Do zobaczenia.
Trzymaj się, Piotrek.
Trzymaj się. Hej.
All right. Here we go. So yes. Well done taking care of the hound comments. Let me know. I did have this up a minute ago. Let's go and find. Where's my? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, by the way, and do you know Martin Fowler?
I know that he is probably the inventor of Scrum.
Right. Yeah. Well, he and a number of others. Yes. I mean, it's interesting. I don't usually associate his name with Scrum per se. He's on the Agile Manifesto, and he authored the book Refactoring. Are the ones that, but he may well be much more involved in Scrum as well. I've sort of, rather than naming the Scrums after geographical regions, which may or may not be relevant. I write. Let's just name them after the people who doing the right stuff. Yes. So you've got the hound's comments clear. Well done. I mean, the hound comments always need to be taken with a little pinch of salt because it's an automated system and sometimes it's a.
So I made some trick with the one of these comments about the long method because I just split it to another method and then I also it threw me that it was too long verse, so I just split the verse.
Yeah,
so it's tricky, but
yeah, and that's. I mean, I think that's interesting. Let's have. I'm just going to pull your code in there. Get your code locally. Obviously, we can look at the code here. Yes. Now I don't know which one was the long method. Just so going over here. Yeah. So we've got this new the category selected being passed in by the form. That's fine. The VCR. Yes, we definitely want that. Was it clear what VCR is doing for you?
So you told me that it's that you don't need to hit the network if it's VCR, but I'm not sure. Is it another gem or something like that? VCR?
Yeah, basically it's a gem. So here we go. Oh, hey Puneet, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, so we're just the stand-up. The Scrum is finished, and I was just helping Piotr with some stuff on local support. I was just showing you. So this is a VCR gem here, and so yeah, it's basically a gem that we can install. And when you run a test wrapped in VCR, like here, what it'll mean is if there's a network connection, it will actually go out to the network on the first occasion, but then it will subsequently, and that's website 1 there, file, open recent local support. What will happen is that it will, on that first occasion when it makes a network connection, it will record. And I just wonder, well, where do we put them in this one? VCR. There we go. So features, and you can see VCR cassettes here. And so these are then these are organized via, like, so for example, do it volunteer opportunities. They're organized by the name of the feature, and then so you can see here that basically takes that initial real network connection and it writes the entire network connection, what the response that came back into this file, and has it set up so that it as kind of a cache, so that it knows in future if the same request comes through, it just plays back the what it had from the last time as a recording, and it means that after the first occasion, it then never hits the network again.
Okay, I remember that from the course.
Good stuff. Yes, and so the thing is, and actually what I'm just doing in the Website 1 project is I'm putting @VCR at the top of every file above the word feature.
So if you use it like that, so you just label it VCR and then it's working, yes?
That's right. And in fact, what I'm going to be moving towards is just adding @VCR in front of the word feature here at the top, and then we won't have to have it on every individual thing, because I think even though it's not necessarily always going to be necessary, I think it's just good to have a sandbox, because you don't want your tests hitting out onto the network unnecessarily.
Okay. Yeah. But so it's the requirement that you need to have this written before each scenario or before feature to work, or?
Yes, that's the way that VCR currently integrates with Cucumber. Okay. Is it needs you can sort of you can add the tag on a scenario by scenario basis, or you can add it at the feature. I would sort of like to turn it on just kind of globally, but there doesn't seem to be an option for that. I've opened an issue with the VCR folks to ask if there's a way to do that, which you can see here. Is that actually spinning? There we go. But no one's responded to that. I'm wondering if there's some simpler config, but at the moment the simplest thing we seem to have is to do that. Yeah, I guess before we go on, I'll just check it. So Puneet, you were chatting in the Website 1 channel earlier today. Do you want to give us your Scrum update on what's happening with you?
Yeah, actually, yesterday I tried to run the setup and I faced some issues. I created an issue right away, which is I've just pinged in the chat.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. Good show. Yes. And so I'll just show you some quick things in here. Thanks so much for opening the issue. So one of the things we can do is we can put this markdown formatting. So when you've got these lots of error messages and so on, by wrapping them in, let's get down to the bottom of it, there, by wrapping it like so, we can make it much, much easier to read. And are you familiar with Markdown?
A bit, but I guess, if I tried using it, I'll get more familiar. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I just think it's like it's just a dream. I love it. And you've got sort of helper buttons here for the. But so GitHub, all of their places. So you see how this reformats it like that now, makes it a bit easier to read. So and of course the particularly for long things, the great thing about putting an issue, obviously you could be chatting about it in the Slack thing. But once you've got this issue that you can refer to, it suddenly makes all of our lives much easier. So yes, now let's just have a quick look at these. So yeah, now the errors that you're getting in the specs, I am not familiar with there. That is looking connection error. I'm not sure about those. I haven't seen those before. Then, so the failures that you're getting in the cucumbers, this one here, the projects one, we're having problems with intermittent failures from just this kind of this thing, and we're kind of in the middle of an extensive overhaul to try and address those issues. And it's a tricky setup. I guess. Oh, have you posted up? This is what are these PNGs you've got in here?
I saw you share the way of sharing the snapshots in the Slack channel, so I thought
that's great. No, that's great. I'm just wondering, is this a the interesting thing that I could maybe do here as well, and this is as well for you, Piotr. This is all gradually learning all of the ins and outs of how to do the markup in the pull request. So potentially you can do this, and if you add, there's this little syntax for embedding images, like so. See if that works. They may break there. sometimes with the Dropbox, they need to have this set to a 1, like so, to point you directly to the file. There we go. Okay, yeah, yes, and then again, so yeah, definitely. My top tip for both of you is learn as much of the markup syntax as you can, so that you can make your there's a pull requests and issues and everything in GitHub as clear as possible. Yes, so that there is for this charge activity. If you are going to get set up with website 1, there's a .env file that I would need to give you, but we maybe need to have a conversation about getting involved as a developer in website 1, because website 1 is kind of it's a pretty advanced project, and I'm sort of encouraging people to maybe not leap into website 1 as much as they used to. Well, what's your time frame now, Puneet? Have you got to run off very soon? Have you got some time to chat? What's your situation?
I can chat at least for half an hour, I guess.
Okay. Well, so Piotr was here first, so maybe what I'll do is I'll go back to Piotr and we'll have a look at the code that he's working on in local support, and hopefully we can sort of get an overview of that in 10 or 15 minutes, and then maybe we'll come back to you, Puneet. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be here.
Great. Okay. So going back to Piotr's code there. Sorry to keep you waiting, Piotr. Hopefully there was something of value in there for you as well. So easily you can remove the question mark there.
Okay. So I did it now.
Yeah, that's obviously a sort of a trivial thing. I'm just sort of looking through these things now. And you've got the. Let me just look at the scenario themselves. Right. So we've got the similar scenario both for the proposed new organization and for the admin of the new charity feature, which is very thorough. Excellent. Yes, and these are great. Yes. There's one thing that I don't know if it's a concept introduced now as regards the writing of Cucumber scenarios is that there's this other concept of where we call it's a declarative versus imperative BDD. Are these the declarative versus imperative? Is that something that you've thought about? Have you heard those terms before? Did that come up in the course?
No, I don't remember exactly what it means.
Yes, I mean, what I'll just do is I'll pop that. I'll just check this. I think this is a pretty good thing on this. This is something. Now, this is like, don't worry too much about it. Like right now, like don't get sidetracked by this. This is something like more sophisticated Cucumber use. What we've got here in the way that you've done it, which is, as I said, this is the imperative style, where it sort of talks about the sequence of steps as the user operates through the user interface. And there's a general guideline that says, although it's perfectly fine to start with that, ultimately we want to move to a more declarative thing where we're kind of describing things that are at an even higher level. So you might only have 3 steps, where the first step might be given that I add organization with given that I add organization with categories, and then given I add organization with categories, when I submit, then the categories should still be checked. Do you know what I mean? Like it sort of pulls the description up to an even higher level.
So I was 2 days ago at the conference in Warsaw for developers, and there was I learned about events and domain events.
Yes.
And found something similar to that what you are talking about, because they were also telling that it's for this domain events, the biggest error that people make is writing imperatives instead of declarations. What happened?
Yes, indeed. And this relates to this other concept we've been talking about of domain modeling and so on. So that's something to consider. I'd say I'm maybe I'm sidetracking you with that, because that's perhaps at this stage I think these are great, and particularly for you and I, since we know about the nature of the problem, I think that they're very easy for us to interpret. But for example, somebody like Puneet who's coming in, it may be easier if the cucumber scenario is at the more declarative level and it's sort of describing the underlying problem, which, for the record, Puneet, is that when we're having validation failures on our organizations, we're losing the category data that the user might have selected. So and that's what this pull request is about. But so yeah, the main, I guess, given that it's now working and that we have the appropriate tests on it, we could just put it in. I guess, was this, where was the thing that you were dealing with the hound comments about the method being too long? Was that
here? Yes, in
yes.
form helper.
Yes, and then you were sort of saying, oh, you're being sort of tricky by doing this. But I think that it's exactly the sort of thing that if this is a great response, in as much as with Ruby, that we're trying to write expressive code and we're trying to avoid detailed comments explaining things. Try and think of the method name as being the comment about what something does. And so this process, I mean, ideally where we get to is that we have several small methods that kind of self-document the slightly longer code there. So and so if we read this now here, so they're doing for all of these things, code runs a build unless in selected cat selected category. So I think that there's maybe more tweaking we could do in order to make it wonderfully readable, but pulling things out like this into little sub-methods, exactly the right approach, Piotr. I would say that's definitely the way to go.
So I just didn't want because I named this method first in selected categories, but I thought it was too long, so that's why I made it in selected. But maybe it's in selected categories. It would be more descriptive and more clear.
And also maybe I think I kind of at the moment I'm sensing from myself I haven't quite got into the depth of the code to be able to give like a really good opinion on which way. I guess the one thing I'm thinking is that since this is returning a Boolean, one of the things in Ruby is if we've got a method that returns a Boolean, then we usually put a question mark at the end of it.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm thinking that the question mark and yes, but I wanted to reassure you that I think the approach that you're taking there is definitely the right approach, and I'll maybe give more detailed comments on the exact choice of method names and so on later on.
So should I change it, the name of the
method? I think definitely add a question mark in there. Whether you want to change the method name, I don't want to say either way, because what I want to move on to is I think our main issue that we have with that would stop us from just pulling this all straight in right now is, as you said, we've got the logic is the chunks of logic that we've now got appearing in the organizations controller, and then the proposed organizations controller as well. I guess if we look at the logic in the views, I mean there's more logic than we prefer, but there hasn't been a big increase in the logic in the views. So that's less of an immediate worry compared to the increasing amount of code here. Now, and I guess we have the two directions that we took. So we talked about before about getting some tests in or refactoring. We went with the tests first, and that's great. I guess the other issue here is, as I've referred to before, is the underlying way that we're doing this. We're kind of slightly off the Rails roadmap. So if we look at the Rails guides for form helpers, and of course Puneet may have some thoughts on this. What we're doing here is we're dealing with this situation in the Harrow Community Network, where when we're trying to add an organization, that basically if we try and add things here, that potentially if a validation fails, we're going to lose that data. And what we're doing with these checkboxes is we're trying to manage the relationship between an organization, which can have a many-to-many relationship between organizations and categories, and we're trying to do that in a single update. Now, the interesting thing here in the building the complex forms, nested forms, and so on, is that we're kind of off the end of this here, in that these being able to add and remove objects through a single form, and you've got this accept nested attributes. The way that all the most complex examples that we have here are for a one-to-many relationship, and so it's not clear if there's a cleaner way to do everything that we're doing originally before this fix to prevent the the failure during validations. So I feel like we've got the two options I described before, Piotr. One is that we could try to understand, is there a cleaner way to manage a many-to-many relationship within Rails? And the other one is we could say, well, it's working, and let's not worry. Let's just kind of clean up the underlying hack that we have and try and pull these bits and pieces out into another service and so on. So, and I guess that's a judgment call there about which direction we want to go in. Does that make sense, Piotr?
Yes, that's why I couldn't do it myself, because I've seen that it's something that's just you need to decide, or somebody needs to decide.
Indeed, about what to do. And Puneet, does that make any sense at all, or is this kind of like too out of band for you?
It makes some sense, but yeah, I think probably I'll try to find out more, because I haven't looked into the options that I can have for implementing many-to-many relationships like this.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so I mean, I think the thing here, if we look at the organizations controller now, and what is this? We've got this. So, I mean, the way in which I would approach either direction, Piotr, is that one way is just in terms of refactoring this, is that I would be tempted to create here, for example, a create organization service and pull, rather than trying to pull these things necessarily into the model, I would be trying to pull these things into that service. And that's a perfectly reasonable refactoring approach. I think if I was tackling and saying I want to understand better this, doing many-to-many, handling, creation and destruction of records in a many-to-many relationship through forms, what I would probably try and do is set that up in a separate project. I would just create a dummy Rails project and try and see if I can get it to work there, independent of the rest of the complexity of the local support system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Yeah,
I will have some practice, probably not only with that, but yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I think it comes down to a little bit of what you would prefer to spend your time on next. I think that there's definitely things to learn for either of them. I think if you're in the route to probably getting this code pulled in faster is maybe to do the service refactoring, which is something I can help you with. Although I think I end up feeling like
still it's not the right solution.
Well, I kind of think, yeah, but before we go that way, I would love to confirm that there isn't some nice, clean way to do this that we've previously missed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if there isn't, what I would really like to do is actually open an issue on the Rails code itself and say, hey guys, there doesn't seem to be any clean way to do this. I mean, and not for a moment suggesting necessarily that we will be able to help solve that, but I think we kind of, or find that someone else has got an open issue for that. So yeah, I guess if the decision's down to me, I would say I would really like to kind of create a little example Rails app that just has two models that have a has-many relationship, and just set this up and push that up as a separate little thing, and give an example of, okay, this isn't working, or even we get it to work, and then woohoo, it goes on, and make the appropriate Stack Overflow post to say, okay, I've tried to do a many-to-many thing, blah, 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 but it hasn't worked. Can I get any help? And then if basically everybody says we have no idea, and then ultimately to the Rails repo and say, hey guys, issue, we can't do this with the Rails form helpers, and go down that route, and then hopefully we shouldn't spend too long on that. We can sort of quickly say, okay, either that's not going to be work out whether it's going to be a long-term or short-term fix, and then we can come back to and say, right, either fix things properly, or if it's a long-term thing, then we end up doing our service refactoring.
So I think it's a good way to do that. So it's working now. It's not too good, but it's working. So we can leave it and find a general solution for that, not just a specific for this code. So maybe I think you're right.
Yeah, well, I think it's worth spending, if you've got a little bit of time to spend on it, it's worth spending a day or two to explore, because it's going to be useful and fun to explore anyway. And if I look at, that's the wrong. Oh no, wait a second. What happened there? We went and you forked from local support, but you've then subsequently updated. Okay. What we've got as well is that we've got the other thing to worry. So at the moment, there's no conflicts, and the churn on local support is relatively slow at the moment. There's a few other bits of things going on. The thing we want to be careful of is we don't want this. We don't want the pull request to hang open for too long. So probably what we do is we want to do a quick reconnoiter of here. Can we find another solution in 2 days or so? Whatever time frame you think is appropriate. We say we work out what we worked out, and then we come back, and then we then quickly do the things that allow us to pull this pull request in. Yeah.
Okay, so today we have Wednesday. So because of the grandfather issue I told you about, I'm not sure how I will be available. So let's say maybe we can meet on that on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a review of it on Monday and see where we are. That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Okay then. So until then, I will be trying to solve this one. I am not going to enter any new task. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if you create, and I say, if you make this little, you make a new repo with just a couple of models, do post links to that into the Slack, and so that we can see what you're doing as you're going along, and just don't feel you have to do it all by yourself. We'll be very interested to see what you're doing as you work on that.
Okay. So I think I have everything clear. I will be sending you questions if I'm not sure about them.
I look forward to them. Excellent. Thank you, Piotr.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I don't know if you can stick around. I guess I'll just talk to Puneet now about website one. So Puneet, so I know you've been looking at various projects. I guess have you sort of decided that like website one is the one that you're really keen to work on?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Which is great. One of my concerns with the projects and the way they work is that for anybody getting involved and getting them set up, is that it takes an effort to help people get set up, and then there's a question of how much they contribute in the long term for the effort that we've done to help them getting set up. So what are you imagining is the time and effort that you're thinking of contributing over the next few months? What's your circumstances? What are you thinking?
So I was thinking to contribute from almost 2 to 3 months back, but there were issues with time and availability.
Sure.
So gradually I decided that I have to cut down on some things to make room for website one. So now it's like at least I can. So I've been watching the issues and Scrum calls for a while. So and there were some issues that I saw with the tag with up for grabs. So I was sure that I won't be able to directly start contributing into the complicated tags. So but I think I have room right now to start working on some basic issues to gain understanding on.
Sure. Well, and it encourages me that you have taken the fact that you've taken the time, and that I've seen you in some of those different things, suggests to me that it's worth investing time in helping you get set up, because you're doing kind of your own due diligence, which is good. What I think particularly with website one, we're managing a big lot of technical debt from when there was a lot of people working on the thing in parallel. So and we're sort of there's a lot of things in play at the moment. So I'm kind of I'm sort of cautious about how much help and support we can give to people. But you've done the 169, you've done the 169 1 and 2 courses, and you've also been doing Mentiv, right? And you've been helping the other students. Have you worked on any Agile Ventures projects previously? I guess this is the first AV project.
Not before.
No. Okay. Yes. Well, I mean, I think let's give it a go and see how it how it works. What I can give you immediately is I've got a kind of a .env file, which will solve one of your problems on website 1. So this is because we've got Stripe in there. So I'm just pulling this up. Here we go. So what you need to do, and I'll put this into your, there we go, put it into a direct message on Slack. Well, I'm not finding, what's your Slack username? Oh, it's Touch PS, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is what there's like, basically this text, if you put that into a file called .env, and add that to the root of the WSO project, then that should in principle solve the charge activity Cucumber failure. Although we're also having intermittent JS failures with that one as well. So I don't immediately recognize the where's the thing? Let's go back to screen share. Yeah. What OS system are you on, by the way? What's your
Ubuntu?
You're okay, on Ubuntu.
Not right now, but yeah, when I in the evening I'll be.
Yes, right. So you're right now. So you're doing the development on Ubuntu. So you've got an Ubuntu box, or you've got a VM that you're working on?
No, I got an Ubuntu box.
Okay, you got an Ubuntu box, right? Yes. Okay. So I mean, the thing that I'm looking at here, it may be the case that you just, I mean, what we often find with the intermittent failures is that they only fail in batch mode. When we rerun them individually, that they are then okay. So in general, if you've got some individually failing Cucumber things, rerun them individually, and if they pass individually, it means that you're probably okay.
So I tried it. I tried it both ways. I tried to run everything in one shot, and then I tried it individually. The case was same in both cases. That's why
Fair enough. Okay. So you may find, as I say, that .env file that I've given you will help fix the charge activity one. The projects one, if that's not passing individually, then that may indicate some. I mean, this is a particularly problematic test for us that we may possibly be removing. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because hopefully within the next couple of days we'll update, develop, and there'll be various changes for that. This one, the fact that you've got specs failing is more serious. Looking at this, I'm seeing that there is some kind of like capybara screenshot issue here, and capybara screenshot is basically when there is a failure, it's trying to take a screenshot for you, show it to you, and then we've got unable to find. Go on.
I think I stored some screenshot from the this particular. So yeah, I transferred all the screenshots to my Windows system, and I think I have them right now. Do you want to see them?
Well, I'm not so worried about it, because what the failure here seems to be saying that it's had a problem taking the screen. So there's like the actual. I mean, you could be showing to them. What I would say is, if you've got screenshots that were automatically generated by the Cucumber run, then you can add them into the. You see how I added these in here? I would add them into this issue, and let's have them all in there. I mean, it may be that my guess here would be, if you're on Ubuntu here, that this is possibly that the Capybara screenshot, that particular version of it, is having some issue with like a graphics driver on Ubuntu. So we've got, the Capybara screenshot is this thing, and so in that situation, I would be coming here and saying, oh, does anybody have, are there problems with that on Ubuntu? It's I didn't originally install this gem. Not getting an image, no. But then we're also getting here this. Let's go again. We're getting this unable to find matching line from backtrace, and that's and then and that's something that I saw. Aspect error, cannot find it. Yeah, so there are other sorts of problems. I mean, it may be specific to Ubuntu. What I did notice was that this was mentioned in a Capybara. Was a blog post that I thought it was mentioned in that there. But anyway, it was telling us that that's an indication that there's these race conditions going on. But coming back over here, I mean, in some ways, for me, the strange thing here is, yeah, I mean, I guess these are, what actual test is this? This is, yeah, these are view specs, which, to be honest, I'm moving towards deleting anyway. I mean, it seems, yeah, I guess
after running the test, I felt that there might be some issue with my environment. So I was just thinking that to launch AWS instance and rerun the setup again.
Yeah, or try it on C9. Yeah, yes. But so anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess bottom line is it's interesting to try and get around this. I think, but I think I can't spend too much time, you know, like on too many different environments. Yeah, so maybe for the time being, I mean, with that, hopefully I've given you some pointers. But
yes, yeah. At least I understand that, you know, how to look for a particular problem. If, for example, here I might have looked into the Capybara.
Yeah, I mean,
the gem that you just showed.
Yes, I think definitely, and also be aware that we've potentially got a big load of changes relating to this coming through in the next 24, 48 hours. We will see. I mean, there's, you know, we're having a big. This is the backdrop of this. Is we're having a big struggle with its intermittent failures on JS. That is a big block for the whole project at the moment, and it's yeah, something that we really need to resolve. So depending upon your work framework. Yeah, I you know, continue playing this, but be aware that there's big changes coming through.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, now I need to get on and work on the AV102 course setup. So I'll if that's all right, I'll leave you with that for the time being. And yeah, I'll follow. And anything that you post in here, are you in the Website One Notify channel?
Yes.
Yeah. So you know, we get updates there. So I'll give you help whenever I can.
Sure, I'll try to look into more, and you know, if I come up with something, I'll discuss in the next Scrum call for Website One.
Great. All right. Good catching up with you, Puneet. I'll see you again real soon. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye.
Cheers.